So in this lecture, we'll solve the LPP using the big M method. Let's say the LPP is minimize W equals to 5y1 plus 12y2. The constraints are y1 plus 3y2 is greater than or equal to 6. y1 plus 2y2 is greater than or equal to 5. The variables yi's are non-negative. So in the last lecture, we saw how to formulate this problem into the big M formulation. What you do is first convert this into equation by adding or subtracting a surplus. So subtract a surplus and simultaneously compensate it with the artificial variable. This becomes 6. This becomes y1 plus 2y2 minus s2 plus a2 equals to 5. The objective changes 5y1 plus 12y2. The objective changes since it is a minimization objective, so you do plus m(a1) plus m(a2). The variables yi's are non-negative. Both the surplus are non-negative. Both the artificials are non-negative. M is strictly positive and M is very large. So we frame this and make the first table. तो पहला table होगा CB basic variable y1 y2 s1 a1 s2 a2 and RHS. y1 का कोएफिशिएंट इज 5, y2 का 12, इसका 0, a1 का कोएफिशिएंट इज प्लस m, a2 का प्लस m, इसका 0. पहला कंस्ट्रेंट है 1 3. s1 का यू हैव अ -1, a1 का 1, s2 एंड a2 का 0. RHS is 6, y1 का 1, इसका 2 0 0 -1 1 5. So the basic variables are a1 and a2. So a1 is the first, a2 is the second, m. Calculate zj minus cj. So the first value is m into 1 plus m into 1, that is 2m, minus cj is minus 5. Then you have 5m minus 12. Then you have minus m. Then you have 0. Then you have minus m. Then you have 0. Currently, you do not calculate the z value because there are artificial variables in your basis. यहाँ पर they have positive value, so you do not calculate. Now, since we are solving a minimization problem, this is a minimization problem. What variable would enter? Most positive in sign. Most positive is, see, this is negative, this is negative, so either this or this. Now see, since m is very large, this value would dominate. Let's say m is 100. So this value comes out to be 195. This comes out to be 488. So this is the value that is dominating. So this would enter. So the variable that enters is y2. So y2 is entering. Now find the leaving variable. So theta j निकालते हैं. So the theta j comes out to be 6/3, that is 2, 5/2, that is 2.5. Okay. This leaves, what is the pivot? Pivot is this. A1 is leaving and y2 is entering. y2, a2, y2 का coefficient 12, a2 का capital M. Make the pivot as 1, so divide throughout by 3, 1/3, 1, minus 1/3, 1/3 0 0 2। पिवट के नीचे चाहिए 0, यानी कि यहाँ पे चाहिए 0। Currently you see 2, so what you do, multiply the pivot row by -2 and add it to the second row. So -2 into 1/3 is -2/3. -2/3 plus 1, 1 minus 2/3 is again 1/3. -2 into -1/3 is 2/3. 2/3 plus 0 is 2/3. -2/3 plus 0 is -2/3. This is -1. This is 1. -2 into 2 is -4. -4 plus 5 is 1. Now calculate Zj minus Cj. Zj minus Cj comes out to be this 12 into 1/3 is 4. 4 plus m by 3 minus 5. So this is m by 3 minus 1. M by 3 minus 1. Next is 0. Next is 2m by 3 minus 4. The next is 4 minus 5m by 3. The next is minus m. This is 0. Don't calculate this. So what value? इसको थोड़ा इधर कर देते हैं. So what value enters? Most positive. What is most positive? This value is most positive. Okay. So calculate the ratio. This ratio will not be calculated. The next ratio is 3/2 because 1/2/3. So this is the leaving variable. What is the pivot? It is 2/3. Y2 stays, but A2 leaves. A2 leaves and S1 enters. Y2 का 12, S1 का 0. So at this moment, both the artificial variables that we have introduced have left the basic variable column. Okay. So pivot को क्या बनाना है? Pivot को बनाना है 1, तो क्या करो? Second row को 3/2 से multiply कर दो. So this will be half, 0, 1, -1, minus 3/2, 3/2, 3/2. पिवट के ऊपर यहाँ पे चाहिए 0. अभी दिखता है -1/3. So multiply this row by 1/3 and add. So 1/6 plus 1/3 is half. Multiply this by 1/3 and add. So 1/3 into 0 is 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. -1/3 plus 0. Because if you multiply this by 1/3 minus 1/3 plus 1/3 is 0. 1/3. So minus half plus 0 is minus half. This becomes half. 1/3 is 1/2. 1/2 plus 2 is 2.5. That is 5/2. So calculate Zj minus Cj. So the first is 1. The next is 0. The next is 0. The next is minus m. The next is -6. The next is 6 minus m. But now we will calculate the z value because artificial variables have left. 12 into 5/2, that is 30. So currently the z value is 30. Okay. There is still a positive Zj minus Cj. This would enter. What would leave? Leaving ratio 5/2 by half is 5. 3/2 by half is 3. So this would leave. This is the minimum. Pivot is half. So what you do? Y2 तो नहीं गया, S1 चला गया और Y1 आ गया उसकी जगह. इसका कोएफिशिएंट 12 है ऑब्जेक्टिव में. Y1 का कितना है? Y1 का 5 है. Y1 का 5. इस पिवट को कैसे बनाओगे? 1 मल्टीप्लाई थ्रू आउट बाय 2. तो ये 1 बन जाएगा. ये 0, ये 2, ये -2, ये -3, ये 3, ये 3. इस पिवट के ऊपर यहाँ पे 0 बनाना है. कैसे बनाएंगे? मल्टीप्लाई द पिवट रो बाय -half एंड देन एड इट टू द फर्स्ट रो. तो ये 1 ही रहेगा. -half into 2 is -1. -1 plus 0 is -1. -half into -2. 1 plus 0, 1. minus half into minus 3 is 3 by 2. 3 by 2 minus 1 by 2 is 2 by 2. 2 by 2 is 1. This is minus 1. Multiply this by minus half. So minus 3 by 2 plus 5 by 2 is 2 by 2. 2 by 2 is 1. Now you can calculate the Zj minus Cj. The Zj minus Cj comes out to be Zj minus Cj. So this entry is 0. This entry is 0. This entry is minus 12 plus 10 is minus 2. This entry is 2 minus m. This entry is 12 minus 15 is minus 3. This entry is minus 12 plus 15 is 3. 3 minus m. What is the z value? 12 plus 15 is 27. This Zj minus Cj row has values that are all non-positive. And Zj minus Cj ka being non-positive is the optimality criteria for a minimization problem for all j. This implies optima reached for a minimization case. Optima has been reached. And what is the optima? At the optima, y1 is 3, y2 is 1, and this is the value for z, and in this case w में w लेके चले थे, so w. So y1 is 3 and y2 is 1 and w equals to 27. There are a couple of interesting points in this table which I want to mention. See the first constraint. इस constraint में हमने एक surplus जोड़ा, घटाया, और उसको compensate करने के लिए a1 जोड़ा. तो these two are called as the surplus and the artificial pair. तो कौन सा पेयर है? S1 का और A1 का एक पेयर है. Similarly दूसरे वाले इक्वेशन में क्या पेयर है? S2 का एंड A2 का. So there is a very interesting pattern in the columns of the S1 and A1 variables in your simplex table. What is that pattern? See the column for S1 and see the column for A1. Both of these columns will have entries that are opposite in signs. S1 अगर -1 है तो A1 1 है. S1 अगर 0 है तो A1 0 है. So this can be also termed as opposites in sign. 0 का negative is still 0. -1/3 तो ये 1/3. ये 2/3 तो ये -2/3. ये 0 तो ये 0. ये 1 तो ये -1. ये -1 तो ये 1. ये 2 तो ये -2. तो S1 और A1 का जो कॉलम होगा दे वुड बी ऑपोजिट इन साइंस. जो भी वैल्यूज होंगी वो ऑपोजिट इन साइंस होंगी. ओके. Similarly, see the other pair S2 and A2. इनके कॉलम्स भी देखो ये ऑपोजिट इन साइंस होंगे. S2 का 2 तो A2 का, S2 का 0 तो A2 का भी 0. S2 का -1 तो A2 का 1. इसका 0 तो इसका 0. इसका -1 तो इसका 1. इसका -½ तो इसका +½ इसका -3/2 तो इसका 3/2. इसका 1 तो इसका -1. इसका -3 तो इसका 3. तो अगर आपने S1 और A1 का पेयर बनाया है पहली इक्वेशन में तो उनका जो कॉलम्स होगा दे वुड हैव वैल्यूज दैट आर ऑपोजिट इन साइन. सो दिस कैन बी यूटिलाइज्ड फॉर कैलकुलेटिंग द. अगर आपने S1 का वैल्यू निकाल लिया है और आपको पता है कि S1 की वजह से A1 आया था तो वैल्यू को जस्ट कॉपी करके नेगेटिव लगाना है उसके पहले. ओके. दिस वन मोर इंटरेस्टिंग फैक्ट दैट मेनी पीपल यूज. सी शुरुआत करी A1 A2 ने आपके सिंप्लेक्स टेबल में. पहले ही आइट्रेशन के बाद आर्टिफिशियल A1 लेफ्ट द टेबल. ओके. तो क्या होता है? I'll write this as a point to note that once an artificial variable leaves the basic variable column, यानी कि अगर वो लीव कर जाता है then it must not enter back, and the calculation of that artificial column entries may be omitted. यानी कि जैसे यहां पर पहले आइट्रेशन के बाद A1 लीव कर गया था ना, सो व्हाट सम पीपल फॉलो इज वो इस A1 के पूरे कॉलम के कैलकुलेशन को ही स्किप कर देते हैं, कीपिंग इन माइंड क्योंकि आर्टिफिशियल वेरिएबल है और एक बार लीव कर गया है तो फिर ये कभी एंटर नहीं हो सकता, तो इसकी एंट्रीज का कोई फायदा नहीं है कैलकुलेट करने का। जैसे नेक्स्ट आइट्रेशन में y2 और a2 थे, लेकिन इसके बाद a2 लीव कर गया, सो यू कैन क्रॉस आउट दी एंट्रीज फॉर दी a2 कॉलम्स आल्सो, कीपिंग इन माइंड द फैक्ट कि क्योंकि वो आर्टिफिशियल है वो कभी आने वाला है नहीं वापस, तो उसका zj माइनस cj कैलकुलेट करके फायदा है नहीं। ओके, सो दैट इज व्हाई सम पीपल आल्सो स्किप, बट ओनली व्हेन इट हैज लेफ्ट द बेसिक वेरिएबल कॉलम। अगर वो लीव नहीं कर रहे हैं तो फिर उसकी कैलकुलेशन उस कॉलम की करते रहना पड़ेगा। सो दिस वाज इट, आई विल डू सम मोर एग्जांपल्स नेक्स्ट टाइम।